All right, on our platform, we hear from a lot of women. And one of the things that we hear them say is that men don't talk. And I want to examine that. I want to unpack that a bit. Men don't talk. Is it fact or is it myth? And we're going to unpack that today on this episode. All right, welcome to the show. So, men don't talk, fact or myth? Here to help me unpack that today is none other than celebrity, therapist, author, speaker, one of my mentors, Mr. Jack A. Daniels. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is fantastic. I can't believe and I'm so excited. When you just announced the top, I'm sitting here like, oh man, we about to dive in.
We're going in. Yes, sir.
Let's have some dialogue for real.
Let's have some
I love
dialogue.
it.
Yeah. First and foremost, how's things going in Georgia for you? You know, new family, growing family, man. But how's that going?
It's tough. It's not. You know what? I'm learning patience. If I had one word for this year, I would say patience. Patience has been. They say patience is a virtue, but when you're talking about having a wife and having triplets, I got a lot of different women personalities in the house, from nannies to moms to wives to like babies, and they're growing. They just turned 4 years old, so it's a lot of attitude. I always wanted them to talk, but I didn't want them to talk back. You understand? they are
Yes,
literally learning how to talk, and so I'm adjusting as a dad. This has probably been one of the toughest jobs I've ever had, and had to learn, because it's a work in progress. I'm learning how to be a dad, and every day I'm thinking through some of the things that I'm doing consciously and cautiously.
yes.
Because I was just talking to my homeboy about this, and I'm like, man, some things you got to be delicate with little girls. You can't treat them like boys. And I'm not saying, how they say, raise your, that whole thing. I'm not saying that. I'm saying to be conscious about some of the things that you're saying or that
Yes,
you
absolutely.
do, and how that's going to impact them later on in life, whether that comes out as trauma, whether that comes out as drama, or you didn't love them, or you didn't care for them, you didn't listen to them. So I'm just really cautious. And with that caution comes just this degree of being patient and not so quick to spew what it is that I believe, but more so thinking about how it's going to impact them in the future of their life. So, I'm learning, and
Yeah,
trying to be patient in this season. So it's good though. It's probably the best job I've ever had. It's just been the hardest one that
it's
I've
been
ever had
hard.
to learn.
And you've got it times three. And then you got the lovely
Woo!
wife there. So I get the female personalities. I get it. I have two daughters. One just turned 15. The oldest is 16 and a half. And
Wow.
you learn a lot about
Talk to
those
me now. I need some
Yeah.
guidance.
I'll send you the notes. I got you. Got you covered, man. And and really, you said a mouthful there, and really, it kind of segues nice into this topic of
Mhm.
men don't talk. Because I often say when we do this work of helping people improve their communication, uh, it all starts with being a product of your environment. What we saw, what we didn't see growing up in the realm of communication determines whether or not men or women, in that case, talk and how they show up or how they talk. It's very impactful, not
100%.
just from our dialect, but also how we handle conflict, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
as men, we don't get as many examples as we should. And I
Mm.
talk about this a lot because people think that men don't talk. We do talk. I think that the training that we had as boys somewhat stifled us from talking, because if you think about it from a boy's perspective, um, every man in my life seemed to holler at me.
Mm.
Not talk to me, but holler at me,
Right.
from the perspective of whether it was my dad telling me to do something, whether it was my uncle who punch you in the chest and walk away,
Right.
or the older guys that were on the block, they're hollering at you because you're younger and you don't know what you're doing, or you grow up a little bit and you start playing sports, and then your coach is hollering at you.
Wow. That's true.
and you get all of this molding, all of these things. You try to do a little bit of escapism, and you go to the barber shop. They hollering. Everybody hollering. Everybody like that. But as a boy, you're sucking all this stuff in. And then you go to church. Man, that dude, he
Preacher's
hollering
holler, right?
and sweating, wiping it, with a rag and everything,
Right.
he hollering and sweating. And it keeps going on and on, and you keep trying to one up each other after. And now if you're gonna holler at me, I'm gonna holler at you. You're gonna holler at me, I'm gonna holler at you. And we're talking at each other, but not to each other. And if you got into a situation where you just weren't um, disciplined enough to maintain your integrity and stay in the street, and outside of this, you got sent to jail. And guess what? They holler at you there too. Or maybe you went to the military, and guess where and what they do to you at the military? They holler at. So as men, we don't really have like great examples of dialogue of somebody just talk. As a boy, I was always thinking, man, when is somebody just gonna talk to me and not just always hollering at me and telling me exactly what to do? So our examples are so pivotal when you're talking about what we've seen as men, or what we've seen as boys, and how that has impacted us in our adulthood. So I think that having a great circle is so it's just so I used to think it was rare back in the day. Now I did have I had a good circle, um, but it took me getting outside of my normal realm of exposure to be exposed to some of the right things. And I think that had I not had that, I probably wouldn't be here today. So I think having a circle of men, I ain't talking about women, I'm talking about of men who know how to be men, without some of the intangible things, I
Right.
think is really important for young
Right.
boys, and for men to be surrounded by other men.
I 100% agree with that. And it's almost like what I heard you say there is we all got our communication degree from Holla University.
Right, right.
That's what we got. But I tell
Yeah,
you that Holla University diploma does you nothing when you get into a marital relationship. When you get into raising girls, like we just talked about here, it
yeah.
does nothing. It doesn't serve you. And
No,
we got to
you
fix
have
that.
to be gentle. You need to be gentle. You need to, learn how to temper your emotions, and not every like the first our first resort is typically anger
Mm,
as men, because we understand that. We get it. We know where that comes from. So the aggression and the anger and the frustration and the disappointment, it stems into it turns into anger. And if we if we resort to that as men, that anger then transforms itself into violence. And
mm.
that's why you see so many men that are behind bars or in trouble. It's because, and the stupidest, silliest reason.
Right.
I used to counsel people in prison and in jail. And I said, man, what you in here for? I mean, somebody dissed me. What?
Mm.
Say what? I mean, he stepped on my shoe, so I had to handle my business. He stepped on your shoe, and
Wow.
now you in jail. Are you serious right now?
Mm.
And I used to hear so many stories about the disrespect. And when a man feels disrespected, he simply resorts back to that level of anger and that layer of anger that he doesn't know how to filter through, and he's just going to lash out. And I'm
Yeah.
like, if we just learn how to temper ourselves and be disciplined enough to understand that there are other emotions that we can tap into, we'd be in a much better place.
Man, that's powerful. And I know you're very familiar with this, the feelings wheel as a therapist. They
Mhm.
have all these different emotions, and if you put it up on the screen like a dartboard or something, there's all these emotions, a
Yeah,
dichotomy of them feelings, and we go with that one.
that's it.
Yes, I'm strong. Oh, I'm mad. I'm angry. That's it. Really?
That's it.
That's all you
That's it.
got?
Yeah, I mean,
Right?
we typically operate the normal person operates with about 10 different emotions.
Hmm.
That's it. We can express I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm excited. I'm angry, um, disappointed, um, tired.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's we got a range of 10 to 15, and that's about it. But there's so many other emotions that we just don't have a chance to express in a lot of senses.
Right. So they're there. And again, if we haven't been given a playbook, you haven't reached out like you did and like I did to try to find a village outside of daddy for me that wasn't there consistently,
Mm,
didn't want to, get to a certain coming of age where you're like, you're right. I don't want it. I can't talk to my auntie about this. I need to
yeah,
talk to a man. So I'm pulling on a
yeah,
pastor's coattail, talking, I'm pulling on another mentor, to help me in the village to show me how a man should talk. And a lot of times, you even get in those situations and the pastor's like, I don't know how to say that. I
mhm.
remember bringing something to one of the pastors and I said, man, I need help with this. He's like, he turned to me and said, I can't help you. I don't know how to deal with that myself.
Wow,
I'm
wow.
saying, okay, what do I do?
Yeah.
you know?
It's a short stem, and I think we're in a better place now, but I
Yeah.
think, couple 3 decades ago,
Hmm. Right.
we were learning, and you got to remember our parents were children of sharecroppers.
Mm,
If you really want to you really want to get uh like my grandparents were sharecroppers.
wow.
Like literally, like they that's what they did before they moved to where they moved in the Midwest. And
Mm,
my dad was a product of that. So the tools that were necessary to be able to express yourself or to be able to balance all of these, the gentle parenting, they didn't exist.
right. Right. Just do
So
what I tell you to do. Bro. Get in there and do what I told you to do.
that's it. And if you don't eat. And
Right.
so some of the things that people have today, I think we're doing better. It's just that like we have to be able to share some of those strategies a little bit more effectively. But you're right. I mean, where do you go? Where did you go? Now we
Right.
have spaces and places and people that we can go and talk to. And I think it's a little bit more not as taboo to reach out and raise your hand for help. Although some people still don't do it,
They
right?
still
Like
don't take advantage of it, right?
even though it's here, we still don't do it. So I don't know.
And that's why we do what we do on our platforms. We want to help people improve. My wife and I looked at each other when we first got married. We were like, look, we got all the DNA and the makings and hardwiring to mess this thing up. But guess
Yeah.
what? You don't want that. I don't want that. Let's throw our heads in the books. And we read books our
Mhm.
first year of marriage. We went to
Yeah.
marriage conferences our first year. And our pastor at the time, he was like, why are y'all here? I was like, dude, because we don't want to mess it up. We want to pay our life insurance policy up now, our premium now, so that we if an accident happens, we know it will happen. We're gonna run into struggles. We want to have something to pull from. We don't want to wait till the house is on fire to try to file a claim or try to get insurance. We want to do
I
it
love
now.
that. I love
And
that.
so, yeah, you're right. I mean, there's so you out there, those that are listening, there's so many opportunities, not just here on Jack's platform. We'll tell you more how to get in contact with him, but even right here, so many resources at your fingertips. People I've met in this digital space. That's why I do what I do. I want to bring more people like Jack and other people that you're hearing from on our platform. We want to bring our village to you so that you don't have to make some of the mistakes that we made. And if you're right now, you have no excuse other
Love it.
than I don't know if I want to be vulnerable yet. And if you're listening to me, it's okay to be vulnerable. You got two guys right here that we're being vulnerable right now, this very second. So you have an opportunity to
You know
see
what?
that you're not.
You know what's interesting? I mean, but when you say vulnerability for men, because you said men don't talk, men talk, and
Yes.
we talk when the atmosphere is set correctly. I'll give you a prime example. When I first started out, I had a men's group. Um, I started off. It was like I didn't know what I was doing. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't know what I was doing, but I put together this group. 7 guys came, and 7 guys can turned into 12. 12 turned into 30, and all of a sudden we got like this group, right?
Hmm.
So that's how I started talking to men and being like this guiding mediator for men, and I found myself in these spaces. So fast forward to I was doing one of my fifth books was called I Need a Wife, Where are the Real Women? And
Mm.
I was doing these groups, these focus groups of men to try to get some ideas about like what are men thinking about sex, women, about relationships, et cetera, et cetera. And I had this focus group of 30 guys. And we're sitting in this circle in this room, and I'm asking questions. I don't like to ask dumb questions. I like to ask deep questions. This is where I go really go
Yeah.
pour into people. So I asked this question, and we went around the room and we answered it. I asked this question, and I want you to listen to this, Devon. Um, how many of you, by show of hands, have had sex with a woman that you're not married to and have purposely tried to get her pregnant? I'll say it again because I want you to hear the question. How many men, by show of hands, have had sex with a woman that you're not married to and have purposely tried to get her pregnant? 28 out of the 30 hands went up in
Are
the
you,
room,
are you kidding me?
including mine, if I'm being honest. Right.
Wow.
And I look around at all of these guys and I'm like, okay, uh, we got to talk about this.
Yeah.
So I start asking some of these guys, well, why'd you do it? And he said, well, I didn't have a dad in my life. And I thought that having a baby and a child would make me more of a man. That's logical. I get it. Okay. That's pretty. I mean, I can see that logic. I can see that rationale. Some men have experienced that being in like a serious fatherless generation.
Mhm.
Went to another guy and I said, well, why'd you do it, man? And he said, well, the older guys in my neighborhood told me the more babies I have, the more of a man that I am. So he went out and had as many babies as he possibly could by different women.
Hmm.
And this is the mentality. So I'm
Hmm.
going around the room like, okay, still going. So I'm hearing all of these different stories. No man was shy about opening up. He was vulnerable, like because we were in a safe space with each other. I then went and I saw a guy that was sitting in the corner. He was trying to avoid eye contact. He was trying not to look at me. He was wearing red. He was looking down at his feet and his shoes. And I said, "Hey, man, you know I'm coming to you. What's talk to me. What's happening? Why'd you do it?" And he said, "Man, it took him a little minute to kind of come around to it." He said, all my life, my mother told me,
Hmm.
don't you ever bring anyone as black as you into this household. Don't you ever bring anything as black as you into this household. So he went and got into the first interracial relationship that he could and got that woman pregnant just so he can bring a baby home to make his mother proud.
Hmm. Wow.
It took the air out of the room.
Yeah.
And looking at him, and you think about the so many different things that are going on, the self-hate, the lack of love, I mean, there was so many different things and elements. And as I'm
Right.
going around this room and I'm talking to all of these men are being as vulnerable as possible. And I'm saying that to say, when you put men in a safe space, they will talk. But when they feel like you're going to use their wounds as weapons, then that's when they'll shut down. Because
Yeah.
if and women are real good at that. Women in relationships are real good at taking some of your most vulnerable, deepest, darkest secrets and then weaponizing them whenever you get in a fight, right? Or an argument. And those are women who are not, you know, spiritually grounded. Well, I can't say that. I'll just
Right.
say they don't
Right.
fight fair. I'll just say that. And that's not what most men are like. I don't want that to happen to me. Because if
Right.
I share something with you that's so vulnerable, that's so I can't come back from, and then you take it and you use it against me, it's almost like you're disrespecting me. And then we go back into this idea of disrespect. And now I'm going to resort to that only thing that I know, which is anger again. So
Right.
we talk.
That's
We
we
talk.
talk. We do. And I've had similar journeys and experiences as you have. I remember specifically there was this a men's retreat that they were planning, and I was really sitting there in the planning committee, and I was like, you know what? And I was new to it, and I was like, do I speak up? Do I say something? I was like, no, I'm gonna say something. I raised my hand. I said, listen, can we not do um, a talking head pastor at the front of the church with the
Mm,
parishioners in the back kind of men's retreat? I think that's been done. That's like that went out with the 80s. Can we not do that? And they said,
yeah.
well, what do you mean? I said, let's have a panel discussion. Let's open it up. Let's have men from different backgrounds, different walks of life. One pastor, the rest of us just regular folk, right? Let us just be
Mhm.
on the panel. Let's talk. Let's have a suggestion box for the brothers that don't want to talk out loud. They want to write it down.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, that room opened up, just like you said in your experience. People, you cannot kick us out of that. We were away at a ranch, no ladies around. The brothers open up. I remember holding this guy in my arms. We had prayer afterwards, and he
Mm.
broke down in my arms crying, old enough to be my father.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is going on? And he's snotting up my shirt, right? And I'm holding this man old enough to be my dad. And when he got done crying and sobbing, he said, I'm in an affair right now, and I want to get free. I want to get out. I don't know what to do. I need help.
Hmm.
You think he would have gotten it had we not created a safe place for him?
No. No.
No, nah.
We
He
need we
would.
need we need so many more of those spaces because so many men are walking around carrying stuff,
Mhm.
right? Like they're just walking around just carrying so much stuff and they don't have anything or anyone to release it to. So they turn to other things, whether
Mm.
that's substance abuse, whether that's sexual abuse, whether that's domestic abuse or gambling or drinking or drug. Like it turned. We release it in other ways, but they're unhealthy ways. And I think if we had a space for men to be able to have uh, vital dialogue of things that are bothering us or things that we just want to express. You know how many men don't have anybody to listen to them?
Come on, man. Talk about it.
Just
Yeah, for
just
real.
just
No
just
doubt.
listen, especially when you talk even in marriages, right? Like you got to sit and listen to your wife talk about her day and how everything is going, and then you like when it comes to your turn, she's like, "Whew, I feel so much better that I got that off my chest," and now you like, well, what
Hello.
what,
Yeah.
what are like? Is it my time? Well, I gotta go cook. I gotta go take care of it. Like
Mhm.
yo, it's just so we bottle it up. We
Mhm.
bottle it up, and then we binge on other things. We'll go play video games, or we'll
Right.
binge watch sports. Right? Like I don't know how many men just spend hours watching sports and finding out stats on different sports. I'm like, why are you doing? Like instead of just talking, man, you spent like 4 hours watching the game. That's a part-time job,
Right.
and you ain't
Right.
talk to nobody.
Nobody. And
Carrying.
that's carrying that stuff, man. And it's I want everybody that's listening, especially if ladies that are out there that are listening, I want you to hear what we're saying. Yes, men need a place where they can just let their hair down. He needs the fellas. All right.
Mhm.
He needs even some of the video games because some of the guys playing video games are playing with the boys.
Right,
It could be
right.
worse. He's with his boys. That's still that connecting. He's still that
Mhm.
safe space. But I want you to know out there that you have a part in that too. Because as Jack just said, even in a marriage, guys need a safe place there. He needs to know that his number one, the one he's willing to take a bullet for, the one that he's willing to lay down everything for, the one that he's probably busting his butt to work hard to take care of, he needs you to be
Yeah.
able to create a safe place within the constructs of that marriage. And so if you're asking the question, all right, I'm hearing y'all talk, how do I create that safe place? What would you say to those women who are listening asking that question, Jack?
So I think it's very, and that's a good question. I think uh, women can create the atmosphere. It's real simple. Whatever man you with, whether you married or you in a relationship, and you saying my man don't talk, he just doesn't. Yes, he does. He just wants you to create to. He wants to feel safe in your presence, and that you're not going to take his words and twist them or use them against him. If you want a man to actually talk to you, try this. You're sitting on the couch with each other, turn the TV off and say, babe, I just, lay your head on my lap. Just lay it, and just take his head, lay it on your lap, and stroke his head. Just stroke it, just rub it gently. That's it. Just rub it gently, whatever. Like if he got hair, I ain't got no hair, so I'm just saying my head. If I got yeah. Rub it through his head, and then just keep stroking his head, and then ask him one question. Say, I just want to have a honest dialogue with you. Just talk to you. I want to know more about you and who you are, and just whatever comes to your mind, just say it. But I just want to ask you one simple question. Keep stroking his head softly, gently, while he's laying his head in your lap, okay? And just relaxing him, let him come, and then ask him the question, who hurt you? Stop right there. Don't say nothing else. Just don't ad lib. Don't say, just ask who hurt you, and let him talk. Now he may say some things that aren't what you want to hear. He may say some disgusting things that may make you just cringe about who hurt him in his past. Now, I ain't talking about no girlfriends and exes. I'm talking about dig it, like who hurt you. And he may talk about his sister, he may talk about his cousin, his uncle, or his dad, and some of the things, but let him talk and just say, I'm not gonna say nothing bad. I just want to listen to you. And then after he says that, or whatever he says and whatever he shares, don't criticize him, don't judge him, don't demean him, don't degrade, don't. All you do is say, wow, I didn't know that about you. And the last thing you should not ever do is to trade horror stories with this man who has just told you something bad that has happened to him. Don't say, oh, well, that happened to me. I don't care what happened to you right now. I just told, not that he doesn't care.
Right.
Want you to focus on him. And you just need to show some restraint that you can actually focus on him for a change. And once you do that a couple of times, he's going to start opening up to you a lot more. You ever heard of pillow talk? Pillow talk that's all pillow talk is. Not gossip, but more so like divulging some of your innermost, deeper, dark secrets and allowing him to feel safe in order to do that. So just creating that safe space for him, I promise you, just try that and see how it works. I promise you, every woman that I've told it has worked wonders in their relationships of just allowing him to talk and speak his truth.
Yeah, I love it, man, and that's so key and so critical of creating that safe place. And if I might add one more thing to that list, those of you that are listening, make sure you don't add. And you touched on it, but make sure you don't add drama to it. I've seen situations where the guy tells you something about his mama or about his sister, and then the ladies go and start, they go creating drama. Or lay her out. No, nah, don't do that. Because then then it's creating more layers of stuff. Then he feels like he can't trust you. He's probably going to shut down again because it's like, see, you couldn't even handle that. And you think you're doing the right thing. And then in some cases, that's fair. But across the board, most of the time, guys are like, don't create no more drama for me. I'm never going to share anything with you again if you do that.
Just listen. I don't need no more problems. I don't need no problems.
Yeah. If you enjoyed the conversation I just had with Jack, I want you to do me a favor. Well, I want you to do me a few favors. I want you to like the video, and I want you to share the video with somebody that you think would benefit from it. And I want you to subscribe to this channel because we're going to bring you more content just like this. As a matter of fact, it's a part 2 to this conversation with Jack. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. But I also want you to personalize this. And I want you to hit the bell right there at the bottom of the screen. Hit the bell. And what that will do for you is that you'll get notified every time we post something new to this channel. All right. So part 2 of this video. So the first part, we talked about the fact or the myth about men not talking, and gave you some good food for thought there. But part 2 of this conversation, I'm going to ask Jack a question. I'm going to talk to him about the good men in this world. Are there any good men left? A lot of ladies come to us and they ask Dana and myself, hey, where are all the good men? Are they still there? And he has an interesting perspective on that. And he's going to give you some pointers. If you're a single lady, he's going to give you some pointers on how you can find a good man. And as a matter of fact, he's going to also share with you a new dating app that he just created. And it's going to be something that is powerful. If you're looking for a high quality, high value man, Jack has an app that's going to help you do just that. So you want to stick around. So again, hit that personalization button and hit that subscribe button so you get notified when we post that part 2 of this conversation with Jack. Thanks a lot. See you next time.